Nio Stock fell under $32 on Friday throughout the day and ended up finishing the day at $38.15. Now, is this going to be the end of Nio Stock? Is it ever going to get back to $50? Are we ever going to see improvements? Or are we going to be left bag holding down in the 30s? I'm going to talk about why Nio Stock is crashing and why I think this is going to be the bottom. And I'm also going to talk about some news that have come out recently that's really bullish for the stock. Nio ended up securing a deal that was rumored a few weeks ago, and a lot of people have not reacted to it, and I think it's actually the biggest deal that Nio has seen so far. So make sure you stick throughout the whole video because there's also some bearish news that I'm going to talk about, and of course I'm going to talk about that huge deal. Now, Nio stock has been falling the entire month of February, and it's had investors questioning whether they should hold the stock or not. But it hasn't really particularly been any bad news when it comes to Nio stock, other than maybe its earnings where it gapped down a little bit a few days ago. The recent sell-off has been based on the entire market selling off, and hyper-growth stocks like SPACs, trending penny stocks, and stocks like Nio that have a lot of speculation involved with it have been taking a massive hit. Nio stock price ended up falling over 50% in just a month, which is really crazy and has definitely scared investors. Now, the stock price is most dependent on the actual market and how the market's going, and actually right here we can see there's a very nice impulse bounce off of this trend line right here, so we could be seeing a move up to possibly all-time highs to the top of this trend line, which is going to be really good for Nio's price. People aren't going to be panic selling because the market's going down, and they're actually going to be buying, which is going to bring the price up a lot. I'm going to go a little bit deeper into technical analysis on Nio towards the end of the video, so if you want to see some levels to watch and some price targets, make sure you stick to the end. But for right now, I'm going to get into the recent news. Now, the first piece of news we're going to be talking about actually came from a Twitter post from Mr. Nio, and if you don't follow him, he's a great source for Nio information. He's really up to date and really fast on it, so I definitely highly recommend you guys follow him. And as you can see from the screenshot right here, he posted an importation permit into Norway and Europe. Now it says the permit is for Oslo, Norway, which if you watch my videos, we talk a lot about these job offerings that were on LinkedIn for Oslo, Norway, and we suspected that was going to be the first European country that they enter, and this right here is giving us proof. Now the date says 05/03/2021, and how we'd normally read that is May 3rd of 2021, but in Europe I believe they do their dates differently, so if someone wants to correct me in the comments, they can. Now this is really exciting for us Nio investors because we weren't sure when they're actually going to start bringing cars into Europe because William Li never talked about it. He just said in 2021 they're going to enter the European markets, and this permit is their first step into getting those cars over there. So it's going to be really interesting to see when they start actually delivering vehicles in Europe. Now this next article is actually pretty bearish, but it's something that we all expected as electric vehicle investors, no matter if you're invested in Tesla, Nio, or any other electric vehicle company. Nio actually said that the chip shortage going on around the world for electric vehicles is going to hurt their production in Q2. Now instead of producing 10,000 vehicles in a month, they have to cut it down to 7,500 vehicles in a month. Now unfortunately in Q2 this is going to hurt their opportunity for growth. Now, to be fair, the most units they've actually delivered in a month is 7,200, like they did in January. So that's actually more vehicles produced than they've delivered in a single month, but we do expect their next month's deliveries to grow. Now, they do expect it to ramp up again in July, so it should only affect Nio for just a couple months. Now, the most important piece of news that came out that's been flying under the radar is actually the second generation battery swap station is going to be at a Sinopec gas station. Now, we talked about how Sinopec is one of the largest companies in the entire world, and they have over 30,000 gas stations. One of the top dogs at Sinopec was seen at a Nio battery swap station, and they said that there was going to be a deal after Chinese New Year, and we finally got it. Now, if you watch my Nio Day video, or if you tuned into Nio Day at all, William Li, or the CEO of Nio, talked about how he wanted 500 battery swap stations built in 2021. Now, I honestly, at the time, thought it was a far-fetched goal, but now that they have a deal with Sinopec, I think it's going to easily happen. If they even put a battery swap station at 5% of Sinopec gas stations, that's going to be 1,500 battery swap stations. This makes Nio battery swap stations much more accessible and easier to access, as most of the customers in China live in apartments. Now we're going to have to wait and see on how many battery swap stations Sinopec wants to build, but that's going to be a huge number and it's going to be a huge increase from what they have right now. Nio and JAC Motors, who actually makes the Nio cars right now since Nio doesn't make their own cars, partnered up for a joint venture. They set this up to take charge of daily management and operation of the Nio JAC advanced manufacturing base. JAC also said they want to strengthen cooperation in advanced manufacturing and service management, supply chain, and other aspects in the field of intelligent network connected new energy vehicles. Now, a lot of people thought this was going to be JAC and Nio teaming up to make a car manufacturing company, but unfortunately, that just isn't the case. Although eventually we want to see Nio branch off from JAC and start creating their own cars, right now it's nice that they can solidify their cooperation with JAC Motors. Nio also got some price upgrades from some banks, including CICC, which maintained a $85 price target for Nio, which is actually over double the current price. They expect Nio to sell 93,000 units this year, and they're bullish on the medium to long-term growth. They also expect Nio to become profitable this year or 2022. And if they are correct about that profitability, that's going to be really good for us Nio investors, and it's going to have a really positive effect on the stock price. If you checked out my Nio earnings video, or if you just looked at Nio earnings in general, they forecasted 20,000 to 20,500 units sold in the first quarter. CICC actually did some really interesting math for us, and because Nio sold 7,215 vehicles in January and 5,578 vehicles in February, they expect March sales to be between 5,207 to 7,007 vehicles. Now this would be new quarterly and monthly highs and would also be the best performing among China's car makers. Bank of America also reiterated their buy target of $70, so that's really good that all these banks are still having confidence in Nio after the recent sell-off and after their earnings. They talk about how they like their year-over-year growth and also that the ET7 is still on track to be delivered at the beginning of 2022. Here are my key levels on the daily chart here. As you can see, there's been some ramping up volume when we've been selling off recently, but with this big volume candle right here, we don't see a huge bearish candle. We actually see a very nice wick here, which means that there was a lot of buyers coming in, especially later in the day to push the price back up to near high of day. Now we're going to have to see the first few days of this week to see if we can continue to have those buyers, and I think we will with all the bullish news that's recently come out that I talked about in this video. Now this 38.5 level is going to be our first resistance. As you can see, it acted as support previously and is now going to likely act as resistance, but I do think we are going to open up higher than that, and hopefully we can maintain that level throughout the pre-market in the morning. Now, if we do see a overall market bounce like I am predicting, we're going to be moving our way back up into the mid to high 40s, and we could possibly see the 50 level this week if the market is willing. Nio in the 30s should be seen as a gift to all the long-term investors like myself, so don't really worry about the levels right now. As long as you're still bullish on the company and you like the moves that they've been making, it's always a good time to buy the dip. If you end up enjoying this video, make sure you subscribe because we're on the road to 2,000 subscribers and your support definitely helps out the channel. Other than that, guys, I will see you in the next video.